ऑल राइट, सो वेलकम एवरीवन। मेरे साथ हैं पंकज पांडे सर एंड एक और मार्केट ट्रैप करने के लिए हम यहाँ पे आ गए हैं। सर, मार्केट वंस अगेन काफ़ी टाइम बाद फाइनली इट डिड टच 25,000 का मार्क एंड एक सिल्वर जुबली तो आई गई हमारे हाथों में, बट देन अभी फ्राइडे वाज स्लाइटली डिसअपॉइंटिंग आई थिंक। क्या हुआ मार्केट में, क्या चल रहा है एंड क्या व्यू बन रहा है सर यहाँ से?
So, hi, good evening, Vishu. I think this week was largely flattish for the markets. So, while we did go up, but towards the weekend, we have seen that global volatility sort of edged up, and that led to sort of a correction in the market. So, which is why we are sort of ending largely flattish. Like you highlighted, 25,000 is what we have reached. To sort of highlight further, I think at the beginning of this year, we had come up with a Nifty target of 25,000. So I think, so while we were expecting ये 12 महीने में आएगा, but this has been achieved in 7 months. And that time we were valuing Nifty at 20 ka multiples on a forward basis. And now we know that result season is ongoing. So we will come up with a more firmer number, but broadly we are looking at a higher level for the Nifty. So new target for Nifty is 27,500, which is 22 times. Because आगे क्या होगा कि आप FY27 के numbers भी introduce करेंगे, तो which is why you feel that 27,500 is very much on the cards. Now, we already have seen a good amount of rally. In fact, if you look at from election lows, Nifty is up 18%, mid cap, small cap is up more than 25%. So some profit taking banta hai, koi issue nahi hai, and some consolidation is expected. So, but I don't see or we don't expect a bigger sort of a correction in the markets. So probably a consolidation in the range of say 24,600 to 25,200 is what we would expect for next week. But 4 to 5% kind of a correction cannot be ruled out in the market. But that does not change the overall structural bias one has to sort of keep in the market. So I think the structural bias or bullish bias remains intact.
राइट सर। सर, आई थिंक काफ़ी सारे रिजल्ट्स भी चल ही रहे हैं इन द रिजल्ट सीजन। सम ऑफ द प्रोमिनेंट नेम्स बीइंग अंबुजा सीमेंट्स वाज, आई थिंक काफ़ी सारे ये पावर स्टील एंड इन सब में आते हैं। एनटीपीसी वाज वन, अंबुजा सीमेंट्स, कोल इंडिया वाज वन। तो क्या चल रहा है इन सब में सर?
So core sectors के number, if you look at, so numbers थोड़े mixed हैं. So for example, I'll come to one by one. So Ambuja Cement, like all cement companies, we all know that the pricing has been soft. And since this was a election election quarter, we've seen that a lot of workers sort of go back to their native places. So from that perspective, volume growth was also sort of softer. Prices have declined. So Ambuja numbers were clearly reflecting. So there was a decline in the revenues. Margins have taken an even slightly bigger knock. So EBITDA per ton is down by 25%. But this is a sort of a quarter phenomena. See, next quarter, probably since it's a monsoon season, you may not see much. But in the second half, things are expected to be good. So I think you will see double-digit volume growth, especially for Abuja, because company is quite active on the inorganic side of this. And good part is that they made some 810 rupees EBITDA per ton. What they are guiding for next, say FY28, an EBITDA of improvement of or cost saving of 530. So they're clearly looking at a EBITDA per ton of 1,500. So which is why I think there is a short-term blip what you're seeing, but I think overall structural story remains intact. We have a buy rating on this stock with a target price of 785. Now NTPC is one stock which has been sort of doing very well. I think power is becoming a very core sector or a core driver for a number of sectors, and NTPC is one of the key anchors. I mean, 24% of the overall power consumed is supplied by NTPC. Now, this company came out with good set of numbers, 11% kind of a generation growth, something similar in terms of energy sold as well. PLF is very good at 80%. And this is one company which is sitting on good amount of capacity of 76,000. They are looking to add a good amount of capacity going forward. So your growth also is going to be in double digits. So they're looking at some adding 21,000 kind of a megawatts kind of a capacity. And we all know that probably they will come up with an IPO for their renewable energy arm. And a good part also is that they're venturing into newer things. Say, for example, a small modular reactors, which is considered to be a key game changer in terms of a shift towards the renewable energy side. I think this company is ticking all the right boxes. We have maintained a buy on this. We have been maintaining buy on this stock for quite some time. New target is 500. Coal India also was okay set of numbers because Coal India, if you look at one thing is clear that they are on their course to achieve 1,000 million ton kind of a volume target in FY26. This quarter numbers have been okay. I think the realizations were down because they supplied more to the thermal power plants and the auction volumes were slightly lower. But I think nothing is sort of operationally wrong in this company. In fact, they are also venturing into newer segments, like, say, for example, renewable energy. Then you are venturing into coal gasification. Valuations are good, dividend yield is good, so we are maintaining a buy with a target price of 550.
Right, right, sir. Sir, pharma ke bhi I think numbers are out. What is happening in the pharma sector?
So pharma, if you look at pharma is revolving around, or largely the growth is around two verticals, or so two segments. One is the domestic formulation, and the other one is the US. Now, if I sort of look at a sample of some companies, say for example, Sandiarl, CIPLA, and Torrent, I think all these companies have seen a high single-digit kind of a growth rate. And double-digit growth is visible in the Indian formulation, and US also is witnessing 10% kind of a growth. And margins have been maintained. So margins for these companies are somewhere about 28%. And this is despite the fact that they are spending good on R&D. Their SG&A expenses are good. Because India is a good margin business, and in US, the niche segment is where the competition is lower. So there also the margin profile is better. And I think most of these companies are sitting on decent amount of cash, and so will not be surprised if some of these companies participate in the incremental M&A activities. Numbers have been good, but a lot of the stocks have run up. So I think supply is something which we are more confident with. So there we have a buy rating of 1840. The rest of the other companies like San, DRL, we have a hold rating.
Right, right, sir. Sir, I think auto numbers at the same time, auto numbers are also out, and we also have auto results this week. So, क्या पता चला वहां से सर?
So देखिए ऑटो नंबर्स में अगर आप देखते हैं तो ऑटो नंबर्स वर लार्जली म्यूटेड. They were not much of a this thing. एक तो so two three things. One, I think the heat wave is having some impact. So overall, you see softness in numbers. Now coming specific to two-wheeler, I think two-wheeler was largely okay because you have seen some companies like, say, Hero Motocorp, while the volumes was down. But I think something like TVS did very well. Bajaj did very well because for them, the export leg sort of did well. iShares numbers were down, but good part is that their product mix is improving. So 350cc and above segment for them is doing well, which is a higher ticket size segment and better margin. PV, I think most of the players sort of disappointed. Maruti was okay. Tata Motors witnessed a decline. I think M&M continues to sort of surprise there. So I think M&M continues to outperform largely because of the fact that the CVs are still sort of selling like hotcakes. And then I think overall CV segment was muted. I mean, Tata Motors witnessed double-digit decline. Tractor on a higher base witnessed a sort of a growth, but M&M there again is gaining market share in the tractor side. Now, while we had this monthly number, we also had the quarterly results for all these biggies. So I'll come to individual companies. Now, Maruti's numbers were very good. Quite a healthy performance. What company clearly highlighted is that the CNG is selling like hotcakes. CNG is or one third of the market is now CNG, and which is why the company is looking to expand the capacity of Ertiga by 1 lakh, because the Ertiga CNG is quite in a good demand. Numbers have been good. Margin profile was very good. The stock is also cheap at 25 time forward basis, but we don't want to give buy because I think there is very little comfort in terms of what they are going to do in future. So that is where the challenge lies for the Maruti. Otherwise, numbers have been pretty good. And because on the EV side, we still don't have comfort. They're still talking of launching only 6 models. When I come to M&M, M&M has done very well. So monthly numbers are also good. When you look at the quarterly performance, the volume growth or the turnover growth continues to be in double digit. They did very well on the margin front. So their margins for automotive segment also improved. Their margins for tractor segment also improved. Order bookings are also good, and they're talking of a pretty hefty launches. So so while Maruti is looking at some 6, 7 launches, they're looking at launches of 23 new models by 2030. So it's quite power packed, and which is why I feel that M&M should continue to do well. We have a buy rating, maintaining a buy rating of 3460. Tata Motors, so numbers were very good for Tata Motors. I think there was a margin surprise when we look at the JLR numbers or the Indian CV business. But I think Tata Motors has already seen 15% rally. And on top of it, the company guided for a muted outlook. What the company is saying is that next 2 quarters, especially on the JLR, since one of their vendor is witnessing flooding in their plants, and that vendor supplies aluminum components. So for them, next 2 quarters are going to be soft. So our sense is that the stock may consolidate, and which is why we have given a hold rating with a target price of 1200.
All right, so next segment that I want to ask about is finance. We had Shriram Finance and Bank of Baroda coming up with their numbers. So what's the outlook there, sir?
So Shriram Finance we have been liking for quite some time because I've been highlighting for a long period of time that Bajaj Finance is something which we feel that will not probably do well. Shriram Finance is that way sort of doing very well because one, they are doing very well on the growth front. Last quarter, their NI growth was 20%, AUM growth was 21%, operating profit growth was 23%. They are diversifying their book beyond CV or auto to MSME and other segments. Asset quality continues to remain good, and then we are expecting that their ROE should go up to 3%. This stock has been one of good performer, and we continue to feel that it will continue to sort of keep doing well with a target price of 3,000. So it's a good NBFC. If someone is looking for some alternative, I think this is a cheaper NBFC delivering quality growth. Bob is another bank which came out with numbers. So numbers were sort of mixed. One, I think the growth was missing in this particular quarter because unlike other PSU banks, the growth for them was 8%. And lastly, because there was a degrowth in the corporate segment and deposit growth also was in single digits. And as a result, the margins also sort of dipped. But we continue to like Bob because the guidance continues to remain good. So they're still sort of guiding for 12 to 15% kind of a growth in advances, 10 to 12% kind of a growth in deposits. ROA is expected to be maintained at 1.1%. So guidance is good. This quarter was sort of mixed back for them, and valuations are attractive. So which is why I feel that this stock should do well, and we have a buy rating on the stock.
Absolutely, sir. And sir, of course, finally, the most awaited segment of Market Wrap, which is your weekly hidden gem. What will it be this time, sir?
So if I have to sort of recommend a stock, I think IT is something which is in flavor. FIRSOU Solution is what I would recommend with the target price of 360. Now, this company operates in the domain of BFSI healthcare, media plus tech-driven segments, and offer BPM services. Now, this company came out with good set of numbers. So quarter-on-quarter growth was 6.5%. Obviously, if you sort of remove the 2% contribution coming from the acquisition, growth was still very good, and it's driven by across segments, be it healthcare, be it BFSI or communication. And margin profile was also good at 11%, though flattish. Now, the outlook for the company is even better because companies revised the guidance upward. So they were earlier guiding for 10 to 13%. Now they're guiding for 11.5 to 13.5% kind of a growth. And company is also talking of 75 bips kind of a margin improvement. So which is why I feel that this margin profile could improve to 11.5% this year, and subsequently go to about 13% in the next 2 years. On top of it, the company is guiding for $1 billion kind of a revenue. So if you sort of translate into numbers, you're looking at a 25% earning growth for this company, and stock is available at somewhere about 28 times. So we feel that company is looking confident, is not really relying on only one segment to sort of deliver growth, and which is why I feel that the stock should do well.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Also, we get a lot of requests in the comments for questions. So yes, so please put down any questions you have for Pankaj sir, and we'll, in the meantime, when we are back next time, we'll try to collate them for sir and ask those as well. So like I said, any questions you have, please put them down in the comments and we'll try to incorporate them. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you, Pankaj sir, for your time. I hope
Thank
you
you so
well
much.
was. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.